the web page?
It should be. We're broadcasting. It's according to
Hey,
this.
awesome.
There you go.
About 3 seconds, 5 seconds behind.
Yeah. Okay. So show's all yours. Your primary shot.
Oh, okay. Well, hello and welcome to the inaugural voyage of this crazy little thing we're calling
The Starship Fly Attire.
Starship Flight Tire. I like it. We're going to try and do some flies. This is just a test run. We're working on all the technical aspects of it. I'm sure Rick will be happy to publish a wiki of all the crap that we're doing. Rick is the guy without a lower third on the right
That's me.
side because he's the button masher, chief button masher,
Yeah, Chief Button Master.
and he will be basically engineering this while we're doing it. So I guess I need to look at the camera when I do this too. So what will happen is we'll start the fly, and he'll show you basically he'll put the fly into the frame, and then we'll go ahead and switch it.
You're already there.
And when I have something of any useful information to offer, I'll just cue him and look at the camera and tell you what you need to hear. But basically, that cue is when I take the glasses off.
Okay. When you want to talk.
When I want to talk to
Gotcha.
the camera, that's how we do it for the regular video. So when I take the glasses off, I'm like gesturing and pontificating, just like Joe. And at which point, when I'm ready to tie again, put the glasses on, you switch.
Okay. We're there.
So first fly we're going to tie today is a.
You want to introduce your co-host over there?
Oh yes, my well, okay. Let's just get this squared away first. My co-host is. What do you want to be called?
Well, you put Ralph up there, so.
Oh, it's defaulting to Ralph. I have to change that.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Ishkabibble.
All right, so we're back on.
My co-host is Tom Gribble, also an editor at Flyfish Ohio, and he will be joining me in future episodes of this to probably tie some tube flies or some other things that he does on the swing in some really interesting patterns. But like I said, this is just a shakedown to see how it works. So basically, I'm going to go ahead and start the tie. If you can switch to the, or the fly's already on, switch to the fly.
You're there?
Basically, this is your basic Clouser minnow developed by Bob Clouser, I'm going to guess 50 years ago, 60 years ago, however long it was. But it's this is basically a combination of bucktail and two colors, a little flash. You can see the flash in there. Some red eyes. I don't have red eyes tonight, but that's what I'm going to be tying, something similar to this. And this color, this pink, is actually quite a nice attractor color for skipjack shad, the McKinley shad that we sometimes fish for on the Ohio River and its tributaries. So let's go ahead and tie one up. The hook I'm going to use is a great. Gotta be careful about that. The hook I'm going to use is a Mustad. God, Joe's going to kill me if I don't remember the name of this number. It's I'll publish it. It's a Mustad hook. It's a double king shank hook. So when you see this, it's got an up and it's got a down. And right in that little down right there is where you put the eye. And it makes a great place to locate the eye on the hook. I'm using extra small. I don't know what the weight is on those, but they're extra small dumbbell eyes. They're just lead. I should have had one of these out and ready to go. Feel free to kibitz while we're going, Tom, too. But nice. The best way to start is to put a nice thread base on. I go up just to past the eye, or past the first kink, lay my eye in, and if you look at this, you'll see that there's a little seam where the casting is made. And basically, I just use that as a guide to line the eye up, but basically crisscross wraps about 3 or 4 both ways, and then what I do is called a frapping wrap. Go down, over, over, and then back up. And what that does is that locks that eye in there. It's not going anywhere. All right, it's not moving. So what I do then is come back a little bit to give myself a little bit of a thread bed. Come back up underneath, and we're going to do the white bucktail that goes underneath. And this is the bucktail. It's just, this is a small section, so I could get it in the video. You don't need a lot. Basically, the amount of bucktail that you cut, just grab it, pull out the short ones. You basically should be able to read newsprint through that clump. That's how light it should be. And what I do is I'll just sit there and actually just kind of roll it in my hands to kind of spread the bucktail out, take out some of the long ones, and give myself about twice the length of the hook. Lay that right into that crook of the eye, come over, and basically you're kind of capturing it between the eye and the eye of the hook. And that's kind of giving you leverage to set the bucktail in. But what happens is it starts flaring a little bit. You just got to be careful. I'm using a 6/0 uni red thread. Red is a nice attractor color. So what happens then is you just grab that bucktail that's sticking up in the front. Slip your scissors in there. Cut it off. This is a little sloppy, and I'm trying to deal with reaching around this camera here and not bumping it. Anyway, come up and put a little bit of a head on there. And what you do is you reach underneath and come down a little bit down the shank. Just basically, I'm about an 1/8 inch past the eye right here. Capture the bucktail and push it up a little bit, okay? Because if you tie it too tight, what's going to happen is the first few fish you catch with this, and we're going to assume that you're going to catch more than one fish, but the first few fish you catch with this, their teeth are going to start biting into that bucktail. And what's going to happen is it's going to start tearing up, and they'll start chewing it off of the hook and giving you a really nice memento, but not really a fly that's worth a damn. So some guys will actually crisscross all the way down the shank and then bring it back up to the eye. That basically is the bottom. So this isn't the prettiest clouser I've ever tied, but we're just going for a test drive here. The next thing I'm going to use is a little crystal flash. This is like a micro flash. This isn't the big stuff that I would put on like a saltwater fly. It's really a small diameter, and if I can possibly find the number for it, I'll make sure it's available in the recipe. So what I do is I take 2 ends and run my scissors up to the loop, or the bend, I guess. You even them up. Trying to get this in the frame so you can see. I'm just evening up the tips of the flash, and then there's a little hoop at the end, and I'll stick my scissors in there and cut it, right? So basically you have 4 strands, and that when you wrap them over the hook, they will double up. So I lay them in the thread as good as I possibly can. Crap. Probably should editorialize one time. And once you grip it, you just lay that flash over the top of the hook. Last thing to do, and Tom, tell me if I'm missing anything. I'm kind of freestyling here. There isn't much to this fly. That's why I picked it.
No, and you're doing quite well. The opaqueness of the deer hair in the back for the belly is very important. The sparseness, as Jim has tied it, and a little flash is great. Some people, it really depends on what you want to do here. This fly has many versatile avenues to it that you can tie with. I mean, as far as color variations, depth of materials.
Version of this too, don't you? Don't you tie a tube version of this?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I haven't found a way to stop it from spinning.
So what I do is I take the pink and match it up with the length of the white. Just roll it over. Do the same thing. Capture it at the eye. Try not to poke yourself with the point of the hook because it's right there. And then about 3 or 4 wraps. Kind of try to capture as much of that stubs as you can. Reach your scissors up in there and snip them off. And then you do tie a neat thread head on there. And you end up, look at that crap. That just completely went in a pooper. This fly will fish, but it's nothing I want to attach my name to.
It's not the prom queen, but it'll work.
Yeah. Joe likes to use a hand whip finish. I am relatively proficient with a mechanical whip finisher. Just give it 2 go-arounds of about 3 or 4 wraps, snip it, you're done. It's actually not a bad-looking clouser. It's really sparse. I mean, you could easily fish that for smallmouth or skipjack or whatever. The last thing to do is, you can do this without knocking anything over, is to put a little Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails on the head there and finish it out. And I will actually, I don't know if it's considered sacrilege or not, but I will put that crap all over the top, because I've had more flies just disintegrate in a smallmouth bass's mouth.
I was just gonna say, especially if you're banging smallies, they'll rip it up.
Yeah, they got some teeth on them, and they will definitely chew these things up. And that's a Clouser minnow right there. That is our inaugural ugly ass fly. I got some better looking ones, like this one.
Night and day difference there.
Yeah.
I do like the hump over the eyes on the one you just tied.
Yeah, I mean, when it fishes, the lead eyes pull that hook point up, which makes it relatively weedless, and it's incredibly.
Flip the one you just tied. But to me, that's more realistic looking with the extra hump under the eye. It gives it a little more body.
Yeah, all that red under there looks like fish guts too. So that's the Clouser minnow, and thank you for joining us for our inaugural truck drive through fly time.
Drove it into the ditch.
All-wheel driving. I hope we can do a few more of these and make you at least if you don't have anything better to do on a Wednesday night.
Yeah. On a winter.
Yeah, especially in the wintertime. So we try to keep this informal, and what we'll try and do is get suggestions from people to give us flies patterns that they'd like to see tied. If you see something and you're just curious about it, or if you've seen something on the Fly Fish Ohio site or online somewhere and you want to know how to tie it, Rick has actually been doing a lot with Tenkara flies, and I've tied a few for him. I got some examples here. Here's a bright one.
All mine are one single color, and Jim's got to come in with these bright things.
So we can see them.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
Serendipity.
I don't know what the hell to call that. It's just, I mean, it's all on scud hooks, and they kind of reverse
hackle.
the hackles in, and it's the craziest method I've ever seen, man. But it's
ass backwards to any other fly.
My guess is that it's because these are fished in really fast streams over in Japan. What happens is that hackle gets pushed back.
It gets pushed back.
Gives them a lot of motion, a lot more motion.
Well, and especially in the faster water, you want a bigger silhouette. And the only way to get that is to go backwards with the hackle, so when it forms, when it comes back, it's even bigger. So because if that was palmered correctly, that would just fold flat.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have that bulk.
And Jason Kloss from Tenkara Talk has a really fantastic video of the flies in the Kabari in motion underwater, and it'll really get your attention quick.
Gotcha.
So,
well, that's all I got. I can tie another one.
It's up to you. We got the time.
I got a bunch of colors of bucktail. So this is Rick's.
What you don't have, I'll bring over for you.
This is Rick's box that he's going to be getting.
Hopefully with more flies.
Well, don't misplace Rick's box, please.
Yeah, there's a dozen in there right now. So quit your bitching.
Let me grab mine real quick.
Yeah, go grab your box.
That is probably that disappears.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'll just do gray.
This is what got me with Tenkara. Really, the interesting part. I got to put my video up. That's my rod, all packed up in a PVC case, ready to go. I made a little slip ring to fit, carry over my shoulder. Mm-hmm. That's all my gear. That's my lanyard, my flies, my everything.
Yeah, we carry more crap than that.
Here, let me go get my fishing pack.
Yeah, I know. We're going into fish porn here.
Right back.
I'll just go ahead and start this next one. I'm going to tie a kind of a traditional gray over white. That's the gray bucktail. Which even on these little slivers, there's a ton. There's not a. It's only about half gray because the dark fibers on a bucktail don't die
There
out.
we go. Backpack, Atmos 35. Carries 80 ounces of water and miscellaneous clothing.
That's actually
and,
a really nice pack.
All kinds of flies. I could probably put my dog in here.
What's up, Ma?
Okay, camera's back on, Jim.
I know. I'm okay. I'm kind of in the middle of something right now.
But it's only because that I use reels this big.
There you go. Whoops, switched.
Okay. Just email it to her. Well, you got her numbers, right? Okay. No, I won't upset her. Just email her and tell her you're going to do that. Okay. Okay. I'll let her know, Mom. Okay. Not a problem. Night. Love you too, Mom. Turn that thing off.
Now, the one thing to point out with the Clousers is also a lot of people don't realize where you select your hair on the tail.
Yeah, I'm actually.
The primo hairs on the tail are the tip ends.
Yeah.
The farther back to the end of the tail, the more prime your Clouser
Basically,
fiber.
where I'm picking right there.
Right.
Stuff up towards the top of a tail is really kinky, and not in a good way.
Well, it really depends on the deer tail and how it's been finished and how the deer lived and stuff like that. For the most part, usually the top half, I guess you could say, is usually the prime fibers, because the farther you go down the tail, the more they'll flare as you cinch them in the front to tie them behind the eye.
One wild hair I can't get a hold of. Serious. Yeah, I don't really tie that tight, although it looks like it's flaring a little bit there.
Right.
Yeah, once you get going on these things, you can just bust out a million of them in no time. This is really, I don't want to waste this on a 2-inch fly. This is really long bucktail. Just trying to find some knobby short section to cut out of. There we go. So that's total overkill. But I'm taking even that little bit there that I just pulled out. It's probably enough to finish the fly, basically.
Sure.
As soon as I tie in the flash. It wouldn't be the first time I've forgotten to do that.
Yep. Same here.
Basically, Rick, this would be a great, since I'm not the public speaker that my partner is on the website, this would be a great opportunity for you to go in and do a little voiceover, or Tom, actually, too, to just talk a little bit like he has been about the actual time that's going on. If there's something like, when we get into the Tenkara stuff, there's something you know that I don't, which is probably a lot about those particular flies. Eating up those butt ends there, just clip them a little bit.
Now, quick question on these Clousers. Have you ever tied a weed guard in there?
You can. You typically, the reason they tied them in like this in the first place was
Because it's inverted, yeah.
it inverts and it's inherently weedless.
Famous last words.
Yeah, you'd really have to try hard to get a weed hooked up Clouser. I mean, you literally have to be largemouth bass fishing, and they're on the beds or pre-spawned. I mean, you'd really, because usually we fish them with weight forward lines. Unless you're in the ocean, then you're using full sinking lines. You really have to try.
Okay, that's done. This camera really gets in the way, though. It does, man.
Oh yeah, because you have to be working like this.
Yeah. Well, that's not a problem because literally the camera's only, I want to say, about that far from the fly, so
Okay.
it's pretty close.
You could actually, for the next show, is you could drop the camera an inch or so lower so that you're more centered on the vise there like that, if that gets it out of your way.
Don't know. I just want to make sure the entire thing ends up in the frame.
And it is.
Oh, you're there.
I'm trying to hit the focus button and it's like, yep, there we go. Okay, that's static, so that's done.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
Oh, I didn't put the head cement on it. Sorry. Typically, what I'll do is I'll do them all at the same time, or if I'm trying to bust out a lot of them.
So you do them like the epoxy guys. You put them on the spinner later.
Yeah.
Or just stick them in the styrofoam.
Yeah, no doubt.
Once again, the very liberal application.
Yes. Because we don't want any of that red thread to come off of there.
I've seen so many of these things where that bucktail on the top just gets completely shredded.
I've never had that problem.
You have.
I have? I don't remember. I probably lost the fly by then.
Or you get tired of catching fish.
Never.
There have been times
Yeah.
when you're going through the fly box saying, what can't I catch a fish on?
I wonder if they'll eat a pink squid.
Well, Jim, how long was that deceiver clouser you hooked that brookie on?
That was.
Wasn't it like this long?
It was. No, the brookie was 14 inches, and the fly was all of 7 inches.
Yeah, there you go. 7 inches. And the brookie took it right through the gill plate.
It was
on
a
the
half.
side.
It was a half and half tied on a 2-aught hook, because I wasn't fishing for brook trout.
Sure, fish for smallmouth.
I was fishing for smallmouth, man. And I didn't want to go reach into their mouths to dig out little hooks because those ones up north are feisty. All right, we're gonna do one more. We'll just do some crazy colors.
Did you remember what the hook is?
No, it's a must-add. At one point, because this is the hook that Joe had found to use on the Foxy Red Clouser that we use a lot on the website, and we fish it a lot. Actually, it's like our favorite fly, and I got a lot of this gray left over. I'm just going to keep tying gray, and the reason that we liked it was the double kink shank and the fact that it seats the eye really great and it doesn't roll, and it's just an awesome little hook. It's got enough meat on it that even in a 2 or a 4, it can still, you can still bring down some pretty big fish, and because I've caught 20-inch fish on these things in a size 4 or 2, and they don't bend. You're losing them in structure before you bend the hook, and I've bent plenty of trout hooks before. So anyway, let's go back, lay our thread bed in, and then when we get going with a full-blown hangout, we'll obviously we'll have all the material set up. We'll have a list of flies. We'll basically have the night or the hour or whatever we got set up good to go. Some white. I could have probably done it with the kinky stuff off of a ratty looking tail. There's a few that I'm going to set aside for dyeing purposes. And occasionally I'll take this, since there's so many short hairs in that clump, I'll actually sometimes stack them and makes a fuller. The tail ends up a little fuller down towards this end, but I mean that's personal preference because see, you pull and all those short hairs come out, and you end up with a pretty slim piece of bucktail to work with.
Yep.
Just cut the butt ends off. Actually,
You're gonna do your eye.
I completely foobarred the process here. I'll send all these up to you too, Rick.
In this case, Fubar has forgot the ugly barbell.
Yeah.
Barbell.
I forgot to bring, my lubricant for the night in the form of scotch. Here's my little clump. And once again, it's just incredibly sparse. There's, maybe 50 hairs there, if that. Flare it a little bit. And once you get going on these, it's easy to knock out a dozen of them in less than an hour. It's only, literally it's just these 3 parts, and then you're back in business. Lots of flash. Jumping jack flash. And Joe's a heck of a lot more prepared when this comes down. He's got the numbers of everything memorized. His recall is freaking scary.
And we can always make yourself a little cue card in the future too.
I could just lie to you and make some stuff up, but there's going to be that person on the interwebs who,
You sit there and Google it.
Yeah, he'll Google every freaking piece of material I use and post a repudiation video.
Does a freeze frame, measured it out. Sorry, you used 8/0 thread instead of 6.
It's still too heavy.
What kills me is how you always manage to get almost the right amount every time. I usually wind up with too little or too much.
Out of practice, dude.
Lots of freaking clousers.
It's a fly that you can really hone your skills on.
Oh, absolutely.
You tie enough of these things, man, you are going to get good at this eventually.
They tie so many variations. I mean, it's probably one of the biggest staples in my fly box.
It's a lumpy looking head there, but it's okay if it's a little blunt looking. It's purists will
Well, the fly's relaxing if you've got a blunt.
Purists will get haired over about it. But, I mean, that profile right there, if you looked at that, that's basically what you're going for.
That's good.
Nice taper. Oh, there. Okay. For a minute, I thought you didn't put flash, but I see it now.
Yeah, it's in there. And these, I mean, unlike some trout flies, I don't worry about slapping head cement on there because smallmouth bass don't come up and, nose everything. Or especially skipjack, too, sometimes, man. Those things just come out of it.
They feed with reckless abandon.
Yeah. They just start slashing at flies.
Yeah. Unless you're using a 500 grain line fishing for stripers, and the stripers have this horrible habit of tail flapping the fly before they take it.
Stun it.
It is a bad moment in history. Especially when it's about 40 inches long and the ocean's that way.
It's a little heavy. But that is Clouser. That basically what happens is that let me clamp that in there again. The taper on the head, reach in there. The taper on the head there ramps your hair up. So you basically want that, because what happens is in the water, it all compresses into a very fusiform minnow kind of a shape, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's what you're getting when it's in the water. And that looks just like a minnow.
Yeah.
And it's enough to fool, the majority of fish, except for the ones where Rick lives.
They are a little finicky.
Where are you from, Rick?
We're in Illinois.
Oh, I got you.
Chicago.
There's a lake where he fishes, and the water is gin clear.
Oh,
And
sure.
you'll see these smallies come up and inspect every fly. They literally, they're only a foot long.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I've seen that before. They're like,
Exactly.
Yeah, they're like looking it up. It's like,
I mean, they're under a lot of pressure,
oh,
but
sure.
I think these are some of the smartest fish I've ever seen. They do a double take on everything that you give them. And if the presentation isn't exactly what they want, they just swim right on by.
and a whole clump of them will do that. They'll, like 6 of them will just swim right up to a fly.
I've never seen that before.
And then it's like, poof.
How big are these fish?
Anywhere from a foot up to about, what? I saw 20 inches in there.
Yeah, the biggest I got out of the pond is a 4-pounder.
Ooh,
Out of the lake, about 4.5.
nice.
Largemouth, not smallies. Largemouth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The smallies are all about a foot, 1.5
They're
Nice.
fun, though. Well, that's what I got. I think the system works. I can't wait to take a look at the video and
Yep.
see exactly what we're dealing
We
with.
have to wait on Google to finish rendering it, and then I'll give you the download link, or I'll download it and email you the link
Okay.
as well, because it does give you an editable video.
I think it helps to have play-by-play of what we got going here, because otherwise you just have me, going and ah a lot, and that's not what people want to hear, which is
Yeah, and if we get you and Tom together, you can switch out. You can each tie a fly.
Right.
yeah, he can kibitz while I tie and vice versa.
Do we want to minimize the fly tying time? I mean, like, do we only want one fly that takes X long, or do we want to cover the gambit?
Well, I would say in an hour, do 3 flies.
I think that's reasonable.
All right, 20 minutes a shot. Talk it up while you're tying it. Kibitz, drink, smoke, do whatever the heck you want. I don't care. And then let Google do what it's going to do best. So,
Yeah, because these guys right here would be no problem.
yeah, let me pull that up. Can you put that on the screen?
I have it up.
Yeah, actually, absolutely. That'd be awesome.
And
And
Pretty cool box.
your
Thanks.
palmering, those are tube flies,
Yeah.
but that's like a custom-made tube fly box too.
Yeah, it comes from the Great Lakes Fly Shop. You can find it on my blog. Really great stuff. I mean, these are all stainless steel mandrels that holds the flies in place.
Very nice.
Yep.
Pull that up a little bit, Tom.
Oh, hold on, I got another one.
Okay.
On the striker.
You just have to hold it above the lower third.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where the heck that's at.
You got here to the top of the screen there,
Right.
opposed to all the way down. There you go. It's got a little hinged receiver, and then you can just flip that whole thing up and pull a
Yeah,
fly out.
that's really nice.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah. Yep.
And the style is a lot different too, because you're fishing a sinking line. You're fishing tube flies, basically a hook at the end to hold it all on, and then hook off and move on to the next fly. Once you, that's the only thing you really got. You always have to tie a hook.
And then there's these guys.
But what happens when you hook a fish on a setup like that? It pushes the tube out of the way,
Right.
and you don't end up having your fly get chewed up. That's a nice fly right there, buddy. Trying to see what you got going.
Trying to focus. There we go. Nope.
There you go.
Not a really good picture of it, I guess.
That looks like a meat fly right there.
Yeah, it's a variant of Sinu's AI fly that he has on his website.
Yeah.
So that's your meat fly.
Yeah, man.
That's your size 1 Clouser, 6-inch long bunny strip.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that want to see how to tie one of those up. So I mean, that'd be a great one to do it on.
Right.
So I think we got some interesting things that we can do. I mean, I can get off into some dry flies too, and tie some trouty stuff. I like that gurgler, man. That's not even a gurgler. What is that?
It is. It's a skater / gurgler.
Yeah, man, that's a nice looking fly. See, I want to see a video of that.
Yeah.
That's excellent. It's mostly bucktail, little hackle, and some.
Yeah, it's got some what's that called? Estaz, black estaz in the body.
Yeah.
Calf hair for the wings, and it's just double matted for the color, for the foam, and then bucktail coming out the rear with some actual opal black crystal flash.
For the stripers.
Yep.
Very cool.
So I guess Tom and I can get together and just make a list, and we can publicize that. We'll put the recipes up and start having it on the different pages.
And Rick, when you were talking about monoloops for this stuff right here, I put monoloops in my stuff.
Oh yeah.
Can't see it.
Yeah, I can see it there. Yeah.
It's such a long tail.
Yeah, it looks like a squirrel. Punk rock squirrel.
This is for surface flies, big foam head, turned around. It's just I call it a slider. It goes under the water about 2 or 3 inches. Just a lot of movement. Yep, cool. Yeah, I think this will really work.
You got to see the setup that he uses to cast that, though, Rick.
Yeah.
Like the opposite of Tenkara.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most well, he held up a big honking spool a minute ago.
He's got a 7-weight. You got a 5.6 and a 7.8, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are just the switches, and then he's got space stuff too.
Yeah. When you talked about this reel, it's
Yeah.
see if I can show you this. Come on.
Well, I just looked at the seat and went, "Holy crap!"
I don't know if that shows up. There you go. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 1/4 inches.
It's remarkably easier to cast than a fly rod, though.
A single hand.
Yeah, a single hand fly rod's a lot harder to cast than one of those switch rods. Just basically,
Yeah.
You know what? While I'm thinking about it, can I wonder if this will work. Paste. Okay, cool. Rick, that's my link to my blog.
Okay. Copy link. Very cool.
well, you can put that in your lower third too.
Well, I didn't want it to get too busy.
Yeah, that is a long URL.
Oh, it's massive. I'm like, if people search for me, that will come up, along with some other guy from California.
I think we have a follow-through link on the Fly Fish Ohio site
Yeah, I think so.
for you too.
Right.
Friends of or whatever works.
Yeah.
Well, that's it, man.
Very cool.
I'm very pleased with the way this works. thought it would be a heck of a lot harder than this.
Yeah, no, and like I said, as we develop it a little more, we can have them live on chat. They can comment real time on YouTube as well. Although we may end up needing a moderator, but
And then we can tie up some feather dusters.
Oh yeah, man. Look at
wow,
that.
that's actually pretty.
Yeah.
For me, it's a 45-minute tie.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff.
It's called a pollock fly. It's a member of the cod family, and in Maine they use them a lot for fly fishing for stripers and blues, mostly
When that
stripers.
gets wet, it just looks like a bullet.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
A lot of peacock up on the top there. That's pretty slick. Yeah.
Yeah, there's about 7 to 12 strands, and then it goes down the emu on the sides, and then the schlappen, the gold schlappen that they dye themselves, that you can only get from their fly shop, and then the white schlappen, and then the white deer hair at the bottom, with the red throat.
That's actually a pretty fly. It's almost too pretty to fish.
Yeah, I lose a lot of these. Thank you.
Yeah, it's going in. That thing's going in the water. I don't care.
Pretty or not, function over form.
I mean, you think about it. All the stuff that we put in that particular fly right there. How many materials are in it?
Yep.
You know, what would one of those cost if you bought it in a shop?
Oh, $17.
Okay, you can buy these Japanese crankbaits
Mm-hmm.
that cost anywhere from $20 to $30 a
Yes.
piece.
Oh, absolutely.
When the Alabama rigs were first coming out, it's those big umbrella rigs that had the thing in the middle that
Right.
the chaser fly or chaser bait or whatever they call it.
Right.
Those were close to $100 sometimes.
Yeah. Well, one of our friends, Jim, you know well, he spent over $500 on plugs to go to his trip in Montauk. No.
Yeah, I mean, you can just go crazy with the parts,
Yeah.
but it's fun to make them though. It's fun to make those plugs too. I mean, it's an interesting aspect of the hobby, but I'm just not into paint.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. One of my friends, Eric, he called me, and last time we went to Michigan meat fishing, Loft Lake, Michigan for kings, the 22-pound king that I caught was on my flash fly that I made. And it's tube fly is all it is, with a 4/0 hook coming out the back of it. That's it. It's all flash. It's all Christmas flash from Walmart.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in 2 weeks you'll be able to save a lot of money.
And actually, he asked me, he goes, where can I buy this? And I said, bud, just wait 2 weeks and you can get all the crap you want for 75% off.
Yep. Yeah, I love buying that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's just it's a bad habit.
Oh, it's a horrible habit. Everybody has a drawer that looks like this.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all it is. I mean, because this Flashaboo, the Flashaboo is freaking expensive.
Yeah.
So you wait for this.
Yeah, look at that.
The dollar store's got a real nice Mylar ribbon for $1, and it's, I don't know, I can't get that on camera, I don't think, but
That looks good.
Oh, yeah.
big giant bag of this stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
You can rip that too, can't you? Like string cheese.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can curl it. It curls too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was sitting there playing with a piece the other day, going, thinking about curling them after I get them on there to give it a little more body.
And that's... Go ahead, Jim.
I was looking at ways to tie sabiki rigs. I'm sorry,
Excuse me.
sabiki rigs for bait, catching bait. I've never actually done it before, and I was thinking about trying it. And there's a guy, I think it was French, but all he did was he took it looks like gift wrap flash, and it was like 1/8 of an inch. You ran it out the back of the hook, wrapped it with red electrical tape, and then snelled the tape on.
Sure.
And that's
Wow.
those were his.
That's about as simple as it gets.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
doesn't get any easier. And I mean, the hardest part's snelling the hook, basically. If you don't
Yeah,
know
no,
how to
for
do that.
Cuda and Kobe in the Gulf, ours were just about as simple of a rig as you could come up with. Essentially, just the thick line is a monofilament braid, and then we would mix like a very similar to the Mylar flash into the braid, and they'll hit it. When they're feeding, they'll hit it. So, it used to be fun stuff, but that's Gulf fishing, not the same.
Yeah, it's fishing for meat. Well, I hope I never have to type something when we're doing this.
Well, we'll figure it out.
'Cause
Get you a little wireless keyboard to sit in your lap.
I got to work something out, man, because it ain't working like this.
Step at a time. Step at a time.
Step at a time. Hey, we got this going. I'm surprised.
It worked out pretty good. Well, you want to take us out, and I'll end the broadcast. And
Well, thank you for coming to the inaugural broadcast of Fly Fish Ohio and Stop and Go Radio. We thank you for your patronage and hope you will stop in and listen to the radio show on Friday nights with Rick, Dana, and Steve, and sometimes me, and whatever beverage I happen to bring along. And we will be happy to entertain you with topical news of the day. But look for some more info on this particular hangout, and we'll publicize it on our respective websites of Fly Fish Ohio and Stop and Go Radio. Both of those, if you add a .com, yeah, you got to get a ding in. Ding it. If you go to stopandgoradio.com, you will see a list of the previous radio shows, and I would imagine as we become more versed in how to publish this stuff, we'll have links to the video that comes out of these hangouts as well.
we're going to redo the website to try and incorporate it in a lot better. So
Excellent.
we'll get it there.
And thank you, Tom, and thank you, Rick, for
Yeah,
helping
thanks,
out.
Rick. Good meeting you.
You too.
Make this happen.
Switch everybody's video out. All right, guys. That's
All
it.
right. Ciao.